going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. I'm joined by Vulkan. Vulkan, it's been a while. What's up, man? How you doing up there?
Hey, it's going great, you know, just grinding the CR and living my life.
Yeah, dude, how does it feel being an ex-pro player turned content creator extraordinaire?
Honestly, I'm very happy with where I'm at. Like, my channel is doing as well as you can hope for, you know,
yeah,
with
dude.
the viewership of Clash Royale right now. And I've been enjoying watching CRL, and like, I don't really have any regrets by quitting.
Yeah, man, I think it's, you know, I told you this privately as well, but I think that you could be a hugely successful YouTuber. You're already proving it. How do you enjoy making content like on your YouTube channel? I'll link it for my viewers who don't know or who haven't subscribed yet. But like, what are you focusing on mainly on your channel? Like, or how has that maybe evolved as you've been starting to do it full time?
Definitely, I've been trying to, you know, just make my setup better. I've been trying to get in a couple more edits and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just like, I focus on ladder content and I try to put in like the most competitive games possible. And that's basically what I do.
Heck yeah, man. Well, we love ladder. And speaking of ladder, we have the ladder god, at least in my opinion, of the last couple years at least. I think the early days, we had like Guanek and Pompeo and stuff. But now, I think Mugi, I've been saying this for a long time here on the channel, that in my opinion, when anybody ever asks me who's the best player like in CRL or who's the best player in Clash Royale, I'm always like, well, Mugi. If he was in the CRL, I'd be so thrilled. And he just announced a couple days ago that he is joining CRL East next season in the fall with PONOS. So I was so excited, man. I tweeted that out because I'm just like, this guy is incredible. In today's video, we're going to review the match that got him the world trophy record, the highest trophies of all time. I forgot what it even is. It's like 8,400 or something trophies. So we're going to review that match. Then we're going to review some more recent matches that he just won a grand challenge with his favorite deck right now in the game. And we're just going to kind of break apart and tease out, like, why is this guy so good? What is he seeing in the arena that we're not seeing and that other pro players are not seeing? And just like, why is he just that great? But before we start everything, like, what are your thoughts on Mugi? Do you agree that he's the best player out there right now, at least on ladder?
I mean, it's hard to say the best player on ladder because, like, obviously Igor's kind of up there, but I would put him definitely like in the top 3. And for me, Mugi's like, I'm really excited to see him in CRL because I almost feel like he's a little bit better than Jupiter King, and you saw how well Jupiter King did. So, and
yeah.
he plays really similar style decks. So for me, it's going to be really interesting seeing him.
Yeah, Mugi plays, like, he's known for playing a lot of, he's known for his versatility, but he's also known for like cycle decks, right? Like, so do you see is that an indicator to you that players who can master like faster decks or cycle decks or just a variety of decks, do you see them as being, obviously they're better if they have a variety of decks, but do you see cycle decks as correlated directly as to just higher skill in general?
Definitely. And also, if you master cycle decks, you just have a lot more opportunity to outplay your opponents. Like, Mugi's one of the guys, when I was playing CRL, I would actually watch him and copy his decks and copy his playstyle.
Easy money.
And then I would run his decks in CRL like so often. So
that's cool. So
yeah,
you like,
for me,
yeah,
I would definitely say, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, let's go ahead and press play here and watch this match that got him #1 in 3, 2, 1, go. And again, let's kind of, you know, take us into the mind of what you think he's thinking. And, you know, he's playing 3.1 Royal Hogs, Hunter, Mini P.E.K.K.A, Magic Archer kind of cycle deck here. So yeah, just pick out anything that you see him doing that you're like, okay, this is interesting.
So I think it's one really important takeaway you see from Mugi's gameplay. It's just like, depending on the deck he's playing, he knows like what card to start with. Like in some cycle decks, he'll start out with an Ice Golem, and in some cycle decks, he won't start out with an Ice Golem. It's just like small things like that. Like you probably wouldn't pick up by yourself. So he's really good at like looking at his deck, looking at the exact cards he has in hand and knowing like what to cycle. And then the other thing I really like to focus on is like when he attacks and how he attacks.
Okay, that's actually a great thing that you mentioned there, is like, as somebody who's learned from Mugi yourself and apply that to your own like pro gameplay, is that what you're looking for? Like when you're watching another pro player that you want to learn from, are you looking for their little decisions and just thinking what you would have done in that moment and what they did?
Yeah, exactly. The defense a lot of times is like pretty obvious. It's just like you defend with the smartest card in your hands. But for me, it's like when you attack and what cards you're cycling to start off the game that always kind of get me.
Okay, so far, would you have done pretty much what he's done?
Yeah, it's interesting to see that he went with like the Royal Hogs Heal Spirit there, and you can see his opponent wasn't really able to punish him for it. It forced out like 3 elixir out of the arrows, and when he only played 1 elixir for the heal spirit.
Mhm.
So definitely how he's playing it is good so far. And what is interesting here, I think, is how he's choosing to defend this graveyard. You can see he's killing the giant first, where in some matchups, like, you wouldn't want to kill the giant first. You'd want to just focus all your support troops on the graveyard. But he realized that he couldn't really defend the graveyard.
Yeah.
So he literally just put everything on the giant and then just logged and took a little bit of tower damage. But overall, he's in the lead here.
Yeah, and then he goes immediately with the Royal Hogs and Earthquake. That's not a card we don't see that often anymore.
Yeah.
So was that an aggressive play?
I would say, yeah, that was definitely not a play that I would have done.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm not like saying he's infallible. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it was interesting because did you see if he even had an elixir advantage there? I'm not really even too sure. I'd probably rewind that match and see if he had an elixir advantage. You can have the editor do that. But
yeah,
if he did, then that was a really good play because he's trying to catch his opponent, with the prediction Earthquake on the Skarmy. But if not, even if he failed the Earthquake, you can see he's not going to be down elixir because his opponent was
and this is tricky, this situation, especially this deck.
Yeah.
I hate when they let giant Skarmy in pocket, but he was able to defend pretty easily there. And he has the damage advantage.
You can kind of see this is a matchup where, like, Mugi, he recognizes that he doesn't have much defense, so he's going all in on the offense and then just hoping that he can pull off some giant defenses, but he's doing it so that he's not over committing. And there, that match structure is actually really good because you probably wouldn't even think about it, but it basically, he lined it up perfectly so that if he gianted in the pocket, it would like hit the Skarmy or hit the bats that were supporting the giant.
Yeah, and now this is so close. This was for the World Trophy record, and man, it was so close here. But he does have Earthquake, so he's able to get just enough damage there, and boom, there it goes. So Mugi pulls off the victory and gets to #1 in the world at the time. This was a few months ago. Let's go ahead and transition over to more recent gameplay using his favorite deck right now. Alright guys, so into the actual game right now in real time here, and Mugi's favorite deck right now, to the surprise of pretty much nobody. What do you think of this deck, Vulkan? The Royal Giant Hunter cycle deck? Fisherman.
I mean, so far I'm a big fan. It'll be interesting to see if it actually stays meta at the end of the season. But like, if you look at it, it doesn't really seem like there'd be any impossible matchups.
Yeah,
because the Fisherman and Hunter allow for so many outplays.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what they have because you just Fisherman it away from the Royal Giant, So it definitely has like that synergy. Would this be the type of deck that you would play in CRL, or was this not kind of your cup of tea?
Yeah, I definitely would have played this. To be honest with you, I was pretty bad at Fisherman. So,
okay.
For me, the Fisherman is once you get to the really high level, it's not really like this when you're, I don't know, if you're like playing a grand challenge, for example, and you're like low in the grand challenge. But once you get to like the elite level, it's all about the prediction plays with the Fisherman. And it's another mind game of its own.
Yeah, it's like when you know your opponent has Fisherman, you almost have to predict it with skeletons or whatever, right? And then when you know that they know that you have Fisherman, you almost have to predict the skeletons with like a zap or something, So like it becomes like a who can play as many plays ahead of the other person, I guess, right? Now he's going against Splash Yard for the first match, so feel free to kind of, give us any feedback inside the mind of Mugi. Unfortunately, Mugi not proficient with English, so was happy to help out with this video. Make sure you follow him on Twitter as well as obviously Vulkan, but couldn't come on voice. So Vulkan is our stand-in Mugi. So Fisherman's in back there. What do you think of that?
That's what I was wondering. See, that's the sort of play that I'm like,
why?
I wouldn't know what to do there. You know what I mean? I'd be like, do I wait? Do I Fisherman? But apparently he's Fishermaning, so I can't argue against it because obviously I think he's better than me at the game. So
you're so humble.
I'm gonna take that note and I'll probably use that in my own gameplay now.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I guess you're only really in real trouble if they like giant skeleton or something, same lane or whatever. Actually, that wouldn't be.
But even if they do,
I was gonna say
like Hunter the bridge and it actually wouldn't cross. So
okay.
But really, the problem is then you don't have the Fisherman on defense.
Yes.
He realizes that he has the Hunter there, so he's happy to do it.
So here's his first defense,
and he actually messes that up a little bit.
Yeah.
He should have played his skeletons a tiny bit earlier, but I think he gets out of here without two. Oh wow, the King Jar activation.
Wow. Okay. Well, that worked out. I can't call that skill.
Yeah, no, that was a little bit lucky. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, right.
But
So at this point in the match, he's just kind of just chilling here. With a deck like this, or do you think when is the right time to play Royal Giant? Like
I feel like he's probably just gonna play
right
it
now?
here, right? Yeah, he does. He
Okay,
does.
in the
I think
back
he realizes his opponent doesn't have the win condition in hand, so he doesn't really just want to like cycle a random card. So that's why he's willing to go with the Royal Giant there.
Okay.
And interesting to see also, he went in the back instead of the bridge.
Yeah.
Like you would almost think versus a bar putt deck, you'd want to go at the bridge, and he might be doing that later on in this game. I wouldn't be surprised because you kind of gotta. Well, also he can kind of try to outcycle the bar putt now.
Yeah, because
So
he has another one in
play
hand.
as cheapest cards possible. So we'll see what his next play is going to be once he gets to 10 elixir here.
So here comes.
Interesting that his opponent attacks there. I guess he decided he had to counter push down, but that should give Mugi an elixir advantage. So I'm guessing. Well, no, actually, only up like 1 elixir. But he goes in. He goes in. He's thinking the same thing.
Yeah, this looks like a tricky. This is a tricky matchup. They have Tornado, Ice Wizard, obviously Barbarian Hunt. At least to me, it seems like that.
Exactly. But that gets a lot of damage just because, and he knew as soon as his opponent went in there, especially since he had the King Jar activation, like he was guaranteed to be up elixir, like at least a little bit of elixir, maybe not a lot. So
in a deck like this, go ahead.
I don't really have anything to say.
Okay, I was gonna say in a deck like this, are you in every matchup, not just this one, but in every matchup, are there like key cards that you want to be saving and not using, or in a deck that cycles fast, is it pretty much okay to to run whatever, because you can cycle back to it pretty quickly?
I mean, at the start of the game, like for example, you'll cycle your Heal Spirit and just your cycle cards, maybe your log. But then you just got to recognize like, usually later on into the game, you probably want to be saving your Heal Spirit for offense. So that's a card that you want to be saving, but you don't want to cycle your Fisherman and your Hunter too early. You want to figure out like which one of those cards you need on defense before you start cycling them. So then once you recognize like, do you need to save, or what do you need your Fisherman or your Hunter, then you save the Heal Spirit and
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And there it goes. That's going to be it. Boom. Easy. All right. So what's your favorite deck right now in the game, Vulkan? It's been a while.
Oh man, my favorite deck in the game. I don't know, man. Probably just P.E.K.K.A. and Grave and Mortar. For me, those are
those are going to be my two guesses. I was like, what, like P.E.K.K.A. or Mortar? Like P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Stem? Do you think that P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Stem's in a good spot right now?
I think the Fisherman is pretty good versus it. So maybe it's not gonna be the best deck in the game or something. And honestly, for me, P.E.K.K.A. and Mortar are never the best decks in the game. I just really enjoy playing them.
Yeah.
But also you can run Fisherman in a P.E.K.K.A. deck. So it'll be better than last meta, because last meta Skeleton Dragons destroyed it, but still it's not going to be like the #1 deck or anything.
What is your favorite Mortar deck right now?
That's hard. There was actually a really interesting variation of Mortar that Mugi was using last season. It was like Mortar, Fireball, Arrows, Knight, Musketeer, like Minor Cycle. So I kind of wanted to try that out.
Okay.
And then I was also running a Graveyard variation last season, which I think would still be good this season.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that one. Yeah, okay. I'll if I can find those decks, I will include them for you guys to check out. So here we go again, Mugi again on the bottom of the screen, going against the. What do you think of this double barrel bait deck?
Dude, I actually just made a video on this deck too, and I don't know. I feel like it can outplay so many matchups, and I think it's so good. Like in CRL, for example, where you're not facing certain decks, you know your opponent's not going to run double spell or whatever, or double small spell. But like versus Expo, for example, it's just like it's an impossible matchup. But if you don't think you're going to face an Expo player, then like it's a pretty good deck.
Okay. Yeah, I hate decks where there's impossible matchups, though. Like I'd much rather have a deck that's kind of semi-safe. But either way, this deck is super cool. All right, so we know Mugi knows what deck he's facing at this point. So take us into his head. What do you think he's going to be trying to do here? Identify their building, or do you think he already knows they have Inferno Tower?
He's definitely just going to be playing some Royal Giants in the back. It'll be interesting to see probably when he has an elixir advantage, I think.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, right? And it didn't work out there.
I feel like he didn't recognize his opponent's deck there, maybe, so he didn't realize his opponent had Inferno Tower. But also it's not like that bad for him because the Inferno Tower is still 5 elixir, so he's not going to be down elixir, but it's just like he's not going to get any damage there. Well, oh, he is down elixir. His opponent gets a lot of damage. So yeah, I don't think that was a good Royal Giant on his part.
Yeah, because
probably
you're seeing
the strategy now.
Yeah, you're seeing like the fallout from that. He takes a ton of damage because he didn't recognize the Inferno Tower, and now he's just like, oh crap, kind of has an uphill battle. So when you know they have Inferno Tower, you always want to be dropping the Royal Giant in back of the King Tower?
Yeah, exactly. Either you want to get down 2 Royal Giants and then Fireball to break through their Inferno, or you just want to try to outcycle their Inferno Tower. Basically, the main idea is try to outcycle their Inferno Tower.
Okay. Are there other matchups that you are doing Royal Giant in the back like all the time like this, or is this like the main one? Or is Inferno, if it gets Inferno Tower, the main one?
I mean, I would say there definitely are, like probably versus like Bomb Tower also.
Okay.
You kind of do it versus like
buildings. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So there he takes a little bit more damage.
If you don't know your opponent's deck also, it can be a safe play.
Okay. Ooh.
So he managed to Royal Giant there, like when his opponent didn't have enough elixir for Inferno Tower. That's a play that probably not a lot of people would be able to make.
That was an insane play, dude, because he was able to counter the Goblin Barrel with the Heal Spirit. Or I'm sorry, the Skeleton Barrel with the Heal Spirit, and now he just goes on offense.
Yeah, he recognizes that he can't defend his tower there. He goes in the pocket. He skeletons to protect the Inferno Tower. And it looks like he's going to, well, not take the game quite there. That was an overcommit Fisherman. But
yeah.
He's in a really good situation right now.
Yeah, do you think the player like Mugi, like obviously we see some mistakes in this video. Do you think the player like Mugi is just like, yeah, I don't care? Like, do you think he just plays a little bit over aggressive because he's that confident, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of his play style is just that he's kind of an aggressive player. So you're going to see like at the start of the season, he'll like push up with a deck and he'll just play it super aggressive. Then he'll realize like when he's not like the matchups that he can't play aggressive in, and then he'll adapt his play style so that by the end of the season, he's like mastered his deck perfectly. I'm
just going to throw on like a replay in double time. I just wanted to end the video, Vulkan, by asking you, from the days of King's Cup 2, thank you again for winning me $20,000. I appreciate that, man. From that day to where you are now, like you were obviously an aspiring pro player. You were like a semi-pro player. You weren't unknown, but you weren't like one of the big names in Clash Royale at that point. And then you became one of the biggest names in Clash Royale. So I wanted to kind of end with a piece of advice to my viewers who still might, you know, maybe they're borderline. I think I'm the best guy in my clan or whatever. Or, you know, I might want to, I think I have what it takes to, you know, become a pro player. Like, what would your advice be, especially now that you're, you know, retired pro player? Like, looking back at everything full circle, what are kind of your thoughts and how you would relay any advice to aspiring pro or semi-pro players out there?
Well, I guess is the question how to get better at the game, or is the question how to become well known?
I think it's a little bit of both. A little bit of both, really. Like,
a little bit of both.
Yeah, answer them both.
My number one strategy tip, how I mastered more decks, is that I would, well, first of all, you know, I maxed out my account, so that was important. You know, grand challenges to max my account. But then I would say my favorite way to practice would just be push to top 50 global on ladder with, try to push there with every deck in the game. And once you can do it, like for me, I don't try to push to number 1. Like, I don't think you need to do that to be at a competitive level. So that's kind of like my benchmark of have I mastered the deck. If I can hit top 50, you know, nobody's sniping until like top 50. So that's a really good like indicator that you've mastered a deck, and then you move on to the next one to practice.
Wow.
How to get well known? I mean, dude, just play ladder, you know, finish well in ladder. Play the SSG Cup, play the Bren Chong Cup. I mean, whatever Revel Amar is doing at the moment, or whatever like people like CWA, you know, Rich Slayton, win those competitions, and then eventually you're gonna get well known. You know, it might take you a while. It's like you got to go all in. You can't just if you really want it to happen, unless you get lucky, you're not going to become well known. But if you seriously go all in and you actually are at that skill level, you'll make CRL. You'll get a team.
All right, man. Well, hey, I'm sure quite a few of my viewers have gone from just viewers to semi-pro to now pro players. So I'm sure there's some of you guys watching out there who could care less, and I'm sure there's some of you right now who are just like, okay, I think I can do that. How many hours should you be putting in a day? Like, how many matches should you be putting in, or do pros typically put in a day?
Dude, I mean, once you're at that CRL level, you got to be playing like 6 hours a day, and then also like watching game footage like 4 more hours. Like you got to be taking it super seriously.
Yeah.
If you want to, if you're in grind season, like you can see like Surgical Goblin, for example, he didn't have like the best season last season, and like I think he's gonna grind now and like really train hard, like train those 10 hours a day and like be good for next season. Like same thing happened to Javi. Like you can't get lazy. You got to really keep on top of the meta as much as you can physically play. That's how good you're going to be. It's really that simple.
That's crazy. Is there one player, just out of curiosity, is there like one pro player that you experienced that you're like, wow, that is like a workhorse? Like
that guy's a machine.
Who you were just like shocked at how much they play or how much time they put into this craft?
I can't really give an answer to that because it's really dependent on the season. I don't know if there's well, no, Morton. Morton's my answer. Morton is definitely my answer. And like you see, he has like 1,300,000 Grand Challenge cards won. Like he's not good by accident. He's good because he put in the work.
Yeah.
And you can see there's been seasons where players are really putting in the work and done really well. And then there's been seasons where they
slack a little bit.
Didn't put in the work. Like that was me, CRL season 3. I didn't train as much as I did the first 2 seasons. So it really is just all about that time.
Cool, man. Well, thanks so much for your advice to my viewers, Vulkan. I'll have your YouTube channel, your social media links for everybody to go ahead and follow in the show notes below, along with your player stats, links to statsroyale.com. Any final words, Vulkan, or have we talked about it all today?
I think we've covered everything.
All right, bro. All right, Vulkan. Thanks for coming back on, man. I appreciate it. Always a good time.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Follow CRL East. I'll include the YouTube channel along with Vulkan's in the show notes below. So that ways you guys can watch Mugi in action, see how he does in CRL East. I cannot wait. CRL East is going to be stacked this year. A lot of roster changes, a lot of new players joining CRL as well, especially since it's going to be online. So check out that information in the show notes below. Check out my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. And as always, take care, guys.